Well, speaking about doing the line, we want to take a look at some interesting aspects around entrepreneurship. And I'll be speaking now to a gentleman who many of you have heard of, and we are privileged to have him this afternoon in studio, and that is none other than Pape Samb, Africa Executive Director for Ashoka. Many thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, today we're asking our viewers a very simple and direct question. We've looked at SMEs. They've been struggling to get to their second, third year. And is it a question of management skills? Is it a question of capital? Is it a question of mentorship? Why don't many SMEs in Africa transition into becoming the big businesses?
Thank you. Thank you first for having me. And first, maybe for those who never heard of Ashoka, just to tell them a little bit about Ashoka.
Please go ahead.
Ashoka is the first organization that created the field of entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship. And that has been 36 years that we've been doing it around the world. Yeah. So we have right now identified 3,300 social entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And when we say social entrepreneur, we mean people that will have created system change solutions to fix local problems and local community problems. And these are people who are fixing their own problems from their own communities. So it's not like this way where you have organizations coming from overseas or coming from a different community to come to a new community to solve. So our social entrepreneurs are people within the community. All because right. What we believe is, like you say, going back to your question, mm-hmm. is that, yes, studies have shown that most small businesses fail within the first 2 to 3 years, And there is so many reasons, and I think it's a combination of everything that you mentioned, yeah. which is funding, which is support, which is coaching. But I think, for me, the main challenge for small business to grow yeah. is mostly about the knowledge and to be able to understand their ecosystem and having the capacity to build up the organization and then to expand beyond their own region. So it's the knowledge that's the main problem.
Okay, so it's a skills gap.
Yes.
So looking at the Africa dichotomy of SMEs, Africa is experiencing a revolution of sorts where we are seeing the modern day graduate is doing things differently. They want to start a business and they have interesting ideas. And I know the organization you work with, and also looking at your very colorful curriculum vitae, you've worked a lot with the young people. Perhaps what would you advise moving forward in regard to, I'm an SME, I know I have a challenge with the skills gap. What can I do differently?
Okay. I think there is two parts to that question. There is the first part, which is, as an entrepreneur, what should I do? There is the second part, which is, within the ecosystem, yeah. what should happen within the ecosystem? Because if an entrepreneur decides to start a business, a young entrepreneur, and you don't have the policy, you don't have the support, you don't have the vocational training center, mm-hmm. you don't have the ideas and the market to be able to do that, then the ecosystem is not right for you. Mm-hmm. So the first thing as an entrepreneur you should do, you should understand what is it in the ecosystem that will allow you to grow. Do you think you will be able to have access to the mentor, to the training, to the knowledge, to the market, and mm-hmm. so on? So if that doesn't exist, then it's up to you, to the entrepreneur, now yeah. to figure out how to change that. However, I have to say that most of the time in the African culture, it's not accepted to fail. Like, the young people don't have a first, second chance. They mm-hmm. only have one chance. And most of the time, you learn from your own failure, you learn from doing it. It's not we are encouraging people to fail at all, but you think the best way to be able to understand and correct what you're doing is to go through a process once, and the second time you will be able to understand it. Mm-hmm. So I will
That's a very important lesson.
Yeah, I will suggest for young people to find what I will call a personal board of advisors or a personal board members, where you'll have mentors who've been through the process, can tell you exactly what you do. The same way an organization needs board of directors, I think that's the same way a person, a human being, youth or adult, needs somebody mm-hmm. around them to advise them.
But Pape, looking at Kenya, to be precise, a majority of the young people I've talked to, it seems the biggest challenge for them is capital. How big is the capital issue for SMEs or an entrepreneur?
Yes, always, I think the problem ended up being capital. But if you look at it from a different perspective, it's not necessarily capital. For example, in my experience, I work with a lot of organizations where when we go and ask them, do you have funding available for youth? They will say yes. But if you ask them, why are you not giving to them? They're saying, okay, it's a high risk. There is nobody to guarantee them. As the things that everybody knows, there is nobody to support them. And we don't know exactly if they are capable, meaning the knowledge gap that you were mentioning, to be successful. So the likelihood of a young entrepreneur to succeed is really low from a financial institution perspective. So that becomes the main problem. Because the capital is not accessible. It's not designed for them to be able to access. So what needs to happen, I think what really needs to happen is that to figure out how can we have guarantee capital of line of credit, and organization will be willing to invest in the young people to increase their likelihood of succeeding by accepting to support them for a year or two. So that bank will be comfortable because they know that there is somebody else who's cushioning the young people to go through the process of applying for a credit. So the money is available, it's not accessible. So I don't think, when we say it's the problem is capital, we should define and clarify that it's access to that capital, because the capital is available.
So finally, Pape, before we wrap up, looking at SMEs, for someone who has been able to access capital, they have a board like you've suggested, but they are not growing as fast as they would want. What can they work on so that they can enjoy a good growth momentum?
Yeah, and that goes back to what we discussed earlier, which is part of the ecosystem. If this ecosystem is not there, you'll never be able to grow your business. And those are difficult choices that every entrepreneur have to make. I'm starting a business and my market is just Kenya. Now, if I'm not able to grow my market within Kenya, it becomes a problem. If even I'm able to grow my market within Kenya, but I cannot expand it, it becomes a problem. So what we need to do is go back to the ecosystem. When you're developing your program, look into the ecosystem, how it's grown. But now the world is changing so fast that it's no longer a business plan you have to develop, because by the time you finish it, things are already ahead of you. It's more understanding the new trend, where the world is going, and that's what Ashoka social entrepreneurs are doing. So they're innovating, they're leading their field 5 to 10 years ahead of everybody else.
All right. Many thanks there, Pape Samb, Executive Director, Ashoka. Of course, many people still asking a host of questions, saying that, for example, on Twitter, you're hearing Bernard Chilat saying why most SMEs fail is that they expect quick returns. And I mean, there are so many responses. Of course, we want to take a quick commercial break. Many thanks.
Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Well, we have quite a lot coming up. Don't go too far after the break.